Hope everybody can see that all right. It's great to be here. Thank you for battling your way through the very cold weather. Hopefully we'll have a really interesting evening. And if you do want to ask anything as I go through, please do stop me, because I tend to, when I get on a roll, I just kind of keep talking. So please just ask me anything that you want to as we go through. Hello, welcome. Nice to see you. So as Caroline said, I head up a local charity called Global Goals Centre. We're based in Bristol, but we are working to promote action on the Sustainable Development Goals. And this is what I'm here to talk to you about this evening, is the hub that we're going to be opening in Marks and Spencer's. So for those of you that don't know the Sustainable Development Goals, is there anybody here that is unfamiliar with these 17 goals? So these have actually amazingly been agreed by every country in the world, which is really exciting. I mean, you can look at them and go, well, they haven't really done a very good job at keeping them so far, which you would be absolutely right and accurate. But actually, if you take in what could happen if we even to get close to reaching some of these goals, like no poverty, zero hunger, peace and justice, it would be absolutely transformational. So the fact that every country has signed up to it is the closest thing we've ever had to a world plan. And there's also thousands and thousands of businesses that have signed up to deliver these. So actually, as a kind of set of aspirational goals to be reached by 2030, it's really helpful to have this framework, because the great thing about these goals is they don't just look at climate, which I know is what you're focused on here as a group. Climate action, life below water, life on land, hugely important, but we can't reach any of those unless we look at things like hunger and poverty. Because why do people cut down rainforests? Because they need to make money for their families or whatever. Power structures, money, it's all bound up. So if we can reduce inequalities, if we can educate people, if we can keep good health and well-being at the centre of what we're talking about, it all makes sense together. So it's about climate and social justice, and that's absolutely the agenda that we're looking to promote at the Global Goals Centre. So we've done quite a few projects in Bristol. We had the Bristol 17, where we highlighted a local hero working in Bristol against each of these 17 goals. We've done a project on fast fashion called Threads, which was an online game for 11 to 14-year-olds to play. And we've recently held an exhibition in the galleries with refugee and migrant artists showcasing their work, telling their stories through their art. So that's the kind of creative projects that we try to do to engage more people with the goals and make them come to life.
It's not
Oh.
Just check that please can you share your screen for those of us on Zoom?
Well, that's very odd, isn't it? Mine says it's sharing. That's what's on mine, so I'll try it again, shall I? I'll come out and try again. Sorry, everyone at home, for not seeing those pictures.
Okay, now we're seeing that.
Yeah. Okay, great. That's fine. So that's who the Global Goals Centre is and what we're doing. So when we got the chance to do something in Marks and Spencer's, we basically had not very long to try and plan what we wanted to do, but we definitely knew that what we wanted to do was about reflecting the Sustainable Development Goals. So we just put together a whole load of kind of ideas as to what we wanted the space to be. So we definitely want it to be as sustainable as possible. We want staff to be paid a living wage. We want it to be inclusive. We want it to be visually stunning so that people want to come into it and have reasons to come back to it. We want it to be exciting and inspirational. We want it to be an incubator space for different businesses and ideas. So you can just get an idea from this as to all the things that we kind of threw down on a piece of paper with our ideas as to what we could do and how a sustainability hub could come to life. And the real key thing is up here, and it says partnership project, because we're a tiny charity, and we knew we couldn't do this alone, and nor did we want to. I mean, there's so many amazing organisations in Bristol, of which you are one, that are doing a lot around sustainability and around social justice. So there's a lot of voices that we can bring in to make this space as wonderful as possible. So Caroline mentioned at the beginning that we've been working with an arts charity called Art Space Life Space. You may know them from, they manage the Island and Ashton Court Mansions. So they've got experience of taking on these short-term leases, or meanwhile use as it's called. So we're very, very grateful to have them as our key partners on board. They wanted to do a lot more on sustainability. We like to work with creative artists, so it was a perfect marriage made in heaven. We only wanted to work on the ground floor, and they wanted all the upper floors for artist studios. So again, it's worked out very, very well. So we have a 2-year lease, but there is a break clause after 1 year. So we only know that we can run the project for 2023. They may throw us out at the end of this year. We hope they don't, but that's just the reality we're working on. So we're seeing the Sustainability Hub very much as a pilot project. So there'll be things that we will trial. There'll be opportunities for pop-ups so that people can, come in for a week, run something, give things a go. So let me just dig down a bit more into what it is that we're doing. So this is the empty M&S space. It probably looks a bit different to last time you were in there, if you were in there. Obviously that's out from the outside. So it's a little bit daunting when you first go in, because obviously that's just one floor. There's another 3 floors above that. So it is pretty huge. Each floor is about 26,000 square feet to play with. When we were originally looking for a centre for the Sustainability Hub, we were looking for something about 6,000 to 8,000, weren't we, Caroline? So this is rather larger than the space that we had in mind, but it is wonderful because it's such a high profile space. Everybody knows where the Marks and Spencer building is, and there is a really good diverse footfall as well in Broadmead, which again is a real plus for us. So it's exciting, but it's a big old job. So what are we actually planning to do? So I'm going to take you through the diagram. So what we're doing is we've broken the space into lots of different departments, because we wanted to have the idea that Sparks was like a department store reimagined, hence the name Sparks, as in Marks and Sparks. And it is a shopping area. People are in the area to shop. So there's no point in us just sort of being a little advice hub or whatever, because nobody may come in. We want lots and lots of reasons for people to visit. And each of the departments that we've got are going to be run by a different consortium of organisations. So far we've got about 27 partners who are all helping us deliver the project. So it's quite a big deal. So as you come in here, this is the Broadmead entrance. So that's probably the main entrance that you would remember, you would know. This will be the nature department. So this is going to be very green, and this is being organised by the Bristol Natural History Consortium, Avon Wildlife Trust, Black to Nature, and also some NHS prescribers, because we're going to have a little wellbeing booth here where you can just come, sit, listen to the sounds of nature, feel like you're in, a protected space, and just escape from the Broadmead madness for a while. So that should hopefully be a lovely, vibrant, creative space to walk into. On the left-hand side here, it looks like it's partitioned off. It isn't actually, it's just they're much lower. But this is the whole fashion department. So we've got a whole range of different traders that do upcycled clothing. We've got Baby Bank coming in. There'll be clothing repair and clothing rental, because we all know that fast fashion is one of the real beasties in terms of climate impact, as well as all kinds of other horrors. So it's great. We've got a really big fashion department. On this side, we're offering gifts of different sorts. So it might be crafts, jewellery made from, recycled things or just locally sourced. Moving into the food department. So this is going to have a little kitchen area as part of the food department. And in the kitchen, there'll be energy advice and lots of kind of ideas, tips and tricks as to how you can save energy within your kitchen. And Bristol Energy Network are running that with CSE and Bristol Energy Co-op, so that they can actually person that between them to give some energy advice. Because as well as climate, we're keeping the cost of living crisis at the heart of what we're delivering. It's very much about saving money, because if we can offer people simple and affordable ways to engage with climate, they're much more likely to come on board and to come back and to be part of it, rather than it seeming like it's something that only rich people can get involved with. So the food department offers lots and lots of sustainable traders a chance to sell their goods, whether it's on a very small kind of little stall or whether it's in a fridge. They might just want to put some meals to sell in a fridge. Again, giving those opportunities to micro businesses and also to more diverse communities who may not be able to afford to rent a space anywhere else. So that's a fantastic opportunity to give that space to them. Round the corner here will be an exhibition space, so the artists who are upstairs will be able to display their art and hopefully sell some of it as well. In the corner here, we've got a community champions corner. I don't know if you're aware that Bristol City Council has a whole team of community champions. They represent the different diverse communities that we have in Bristol. So it might be the Polish community or the Somali women's group. All of those different community leaders come together as the community champions, and they wanted to showcase a lot of what's going on in Bristol, including a lot of climate work, but in their own language, so that when people come, they feel part of that conversation and what's going on. This more closed off area here, that's the Global Goals Centre workshop space. So we'll be delivering schools workshops in that area. And the schools have told us that they are interested in 5 themes. And that is food, active travel, biodiversity, fast fashion, which we've already been doing things on as well, and migration and refugees, which we've also already been doing things on. So that's our 5 schools workshops themes. But as you can imagine, a lot of the other organisations involved in this space will also want to offer things for schools, and they can use that space as well. So we're not just keeping that for ourselves. Coming through to the horse fair end, so this is Primark over here, just to get your bearings. On this side, Bristol Waste are going to run a reuse shop. If you've been out to the one at Avonmouth, that's right by the recycling centre, they basically everything that they can possibly take out of the tip to repurpose it and you know, test it and reuse and sell it on again, they do, and this will be a place to sell that. We're also having a little travel agency, so that's being run by Travel West and Sustrans. So then give travel advice to people, let people know when they're entitled to free passes, give them advice about trains and buses and scooters, anything that means that you can leave your car at home, and also hopefully come up with some inspirational ideas around alternatives to flying. What we don't want the space to be is don't do this, don't do that, give that up, because that's the kind of language that just puts everybody off, as I'm sure you know. So it's very much about positive stories, positive alternatives, affordability. So that will also be in this section. Over here, we've got a bike store for all of those working in the store. We've got Bristol Disability Equality Forum have got funding from the lottery to repair disability aids, which they can't do at the moment. They have to just throw them away and get new ones. So they're going to be doing the repairing of the disability aids and wheelchairs. And then in the corner, we'll have an e-waste repair shop. So that was a complete whistle-stop tour. Before I move on, does anybody have any questions about that? Yes, absolutely. Yes. And the Sustainable Hive, which is another education charity who want to run that space, they also want to offer schools workshops so that young people can take apart a mobile phone, for example, look at the different components, discuss, you know, where they're from, how problematic that is, to try and inspire young people to hold on to their gadgets for longer rather than the habit that we're all in of getting a new one every year.
Things you've inherited is quite a big window frontage, so whatever all of those different departments get. Chairman, I suggest you repeat the question so that it's picked up.
Sure.
So the window displays would be shared between all the departments.
So the question is about the window displays. You're absolutely right. There are really huge open windows. What we've got is I don't know if you've heard of the creative design agency Invisible Circus. They're the people behind Wake the Tiger, which you may know as an experience. And they do a lot of festivals and things. So they are actually a partner organisation of Art Space, and they're designing up the whole space. So these arches that you see here, there aren't actually as many as that. but they're to sort of draw the eye through, to provide a really good walkway for people, because we're aware people do use the store to walk from one side to the other. That's great. Do come in, see what you find on the way, make the most of that. And they are also helping us to design the windows. What we're aiming to do, if we get the funding, or a lot of this is still funding dependent, is to try and brand the windows with key things that are going on. So, for example, the Natural History Consortium want to hold some Festival of Nature events in this space. So then we would theme the windows around nature. During Bristol Refugee Week, similarly, would have displays by refugee artists and theme the windows accordingly. The windows at the back are hopefully being created using waste products, you know, from Bristol Way. So it would be hopefully a kind of Wallet and Gromit-esque type machine that's run on like old bicycle wheels and that sort of thing. So that would be more of a permanent display on the Primark side. That's the plans. Any more questions on that? So it'll be partly by the organisations themselves. So Dr. Bike will be coming in to do some bike repairs. Sustainable Hive will have somebody who's that they're paying to do the e-waste if they get their funding. So that a lot of these organisations have put funding bids in and they're waiting to hear whether or not they've been successful. But we also hope to have a bank of volunteers. So we have put out an initial expression of interest when we did our first press release back in November, when we first got the lease. And we had over 300 responses. So far, we've just kind of put all of those onto a database and we haven't had a chance to go through them. So if you were one of those people, I do apologise. We do care that you answered. We just haven't had a chance to do anything with them. But we've now gone back to everybody that said that they'd be willing to volunteer to ask them more specifically what their skills are. So then we can build up a database of people that can either repair clothing, repair electricals or whatever. But a lot of these organisations have also got their own groups of volunteers that they use as well. So, you know, we're not starting with an empty sheet, and we will be doing another call out for volunteers as well next month. So we hope to build that up. Anything else? Okay, so I just wanted to outline what we see as the benefits of all of this. I mean, I'm sure I'm kind of speaking to the converted because you're a climate action group, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of people that go, oh, you know, why do we need a sustainability hub in the middle of Broadmead? Obviously, it goes without saying that, you know, we're in a climate and ecological emergencies. We all know that, and we have got this target of becoming a net zero city by 2030. Well, citizens account for 30% of carbon emissions in the city, so we need to get citizens and the public behind us. It's not enough to just say, oh, Bristol City Council is doing this and businesses are doing that. That's great, but we've got to get local people behind us as well, making changes to the way that they live and being able to buy into some of the grander plans that need to happen for us to reach those targets. And in 2021, Bristol Citizens Assembly actually voted to get a one-stop shop for sustainability. And this is what we're aiming to do. So they're absolutely delighted that we're doing this because it helps to deliver against what they wanted to do. I'm sure you're also really aware about climate anxiety in young people particularly, but, you know, across all ages. And there's still so little manoeuvre and space within the curriculum in schools to actually talk about climate. So the fact that we can offer this beyond curriculum offer, and that schools are really, really keen to come and see it, because it's such a great offer. We're not just going to squirrel them away into our workshop area. We'll introduce them to different departments. They can see things in action, and then we can do a workshop around what's being offered in store. City centre regeneration, this is really crucial. So Broadmead bid, who are the people that sort of try to make sure that Broadmead functions well, they're absolutely delighted this is happening because they need something new, vibrant, coming into the space. And we also hope that it would act as a bit of a model as to how empty shops could be repurposed, not just in Bristol, but in other city centres. Because let's be honest, you know, we're not necessarily going to keep high streets alive in the way that they always have done. We need to look at new models, and this will hopefully be part of that. Helping the cost of living crisis by trying to offer as many affordable and money-saving repair options as possible. A lot of the repairs are going to be offered for free or just pay what you can. So hopefully it will be able to be offered to everybody, as well as the fuel poverty advice and things that we'll be offering in store. And supporting local culture. Sorry, that's my bottles in the way. because we're providing affordable space for artists on the upper floors. So that's what Art Space are doing upstairs, is offering studio space, rehearsal space, and residences to local artists, as well as to community groups that want to meet. So for example, if you wanted to hold a meeting in Spark, you could just book the upstairs space for free, come on in, job done. So any non, groups that have no income, it's a space that you can make the most of that. So any meetings that are in line, obviously, with the whole ethos of the store. So that's just to show you kind of why we're doing it and what we think it will bring as a benefit. And just to say as well, we have got a team from UE who are researching, they're setting up an evaluation framework so that they can measure the impact in terms of carbon savings, impacts on households, that kind of thing, which is brilliant. So that's hugely helpful. So what's the timeline? So we spent before Christmas doing consultations and co-creation workshops and starting fundraising. We're now in the development phase, which means that we're actually starting to create what that ground floor looks like. And as you can tell by what I've said, we've got a long way down that road in terms of who's where and who's running which departments and all the rest of it, which is brilliant. And we hope to have the office space open, which we'll be moving into with Green Capital Partnership in April. And our grand opening date is the 13th of May. Put that in your diaries. It coincides with Invisible Circus, those creative designers. They're doing some weekends of wonder in Broadmead, which will be performances, circus, that kind of thing. So we thought it'd be a great way to open with a bang and bring people along on that date. And then we're seeing the pilot project being delivered until December, because that's how long we know we've got. The evaluation will draw to a close in November so that we can actually prove the need of it, so that if we do have to move out, we can say these are all the impacts, find us somewhere else to go because this is a really important project, or okay, these are the things we need to change. We're not so arrogant to think we're going to get it all right, because we're not. And hopefully remodel it, repurpose it in a different space if we need to. So this is just to show you that things are beginning to happen. So joy of joys, there's asbestos in the ceilings and the floors and the walls, so we can't drill anything into anything. So we have had to do a scaffolding build to make it freestanding. So we've kept that to a minimum, but this, for example, is for our workshop area, which obviously we need to be closed in for soundproofing. So there is some scaffolding being put up, and also for some other kind of segregation of areas, and to be able to put more shelving units up and that kind of thing, rather than just a huge open space that you saw at the beginning. So this is actually happening right now. This picture was from yesterday, so that is where we're at. So that's probably enough from me. I just wanted to say that we've put together now a project pack. That's the link, and I can send it out as well afterwards if you've got a mailing list to send it out to. In this pack, that tells you everything that we are offering in terms of all of these opportunities. So if you're a small trader, or a small trader that might want space in Sparks, if you're an artist that might want to do something creative in the space, if you want to do an event, hold an event in the space, that's how you book something, book an education workshop, all of those offers are all in this pack. And it also tells you how you can volunteer and the different kinds of opportunities that we will have for volunteering within that. So please do take a look at that. And sign up for anything, follow the links, there's different people to contact for the different departments, basically, depending on what area it is you want to be involved with. And that is me. So we want to basically invite as many people as possible to join us on this journey. It's a huge project. Our other key ask is for funding, because we are still fundraising. So we've had enough of the initial build, phase 1, as we're calling it there. So we've had some sponsorship in from Triodos, Bristol Water, City Leap, and Yo Valley, which is great. So they've become kind of different department sponsors. But in terms of running the project, paying for us to continue to do it, run the schools workshops, etc., we're still fundraising for that. So if anybody's got any ideas about funding, sponsoring yourself, or other organisations, if you work for businesses that you think might be interested in coming on board as a sponsor, then I would love to hear from you. It's a really exciting project for the city, I think. I hope that's what I've put across. something that's quite, that's original and exciting, and we hope will be replicated elsewhere. I think that's probably enough from me. I feel like I have talked a lot. Thank you.
Will it give detailed information on what various projects are and when? Because, if you've got lots of different organisations with different offerings, it will help be able to know
Sure.
when they're available.
So the whole store is planning to be open Wednesday to Sunday, because we can't really manage 7 days. So we're going for when the highest footfall is. So 10 till 5 Wednesday, Saturday, and then 11 till 5 on a Sunday. Something will be happening in every department on those days. And obviously traders are expected to be there, to sell 5 days a week, but a lot of them doing it in collaboration with each other. So there'll be one till point that might be taking payments for 6 or 7 different traders. So that's how we're making it happen. So whenever you come in, there will be things happening in every department to engage with. Okay.
There's a question from Diane. She's interested in the small traders opportunity.
So if you go to that project pack link, which I'll put it up again before I finish, then that will show you everybody that you need to contact for the different departments. So if you wanted food, that would be one person. If you wanted gifts, that would be another person. If you wanted fashion, that's another person. So it'll actually send you to the right person for each department. Okay, Diane, thank you. Yes.
So I like the different much sense with the name. You couldn't know that anymore, like the history of when you talk about how it's a way to remodel and like look at the high street art.
There probably won't be a history of the building, but we are definitely playing into that whole narrative about, how high streets can change and will change over time. So that's one thing that the UE team are looking at, but we have actually got national interest on this. So we've got a cultural and city centre development teams from across the country. Apparently there's 10 sort of key cities, and they're all coming to see the project next month, which is great. So yeah, there is definite interest in that whole narrative, but we're trying to move away from being anything like a museum or that sort of thing. So we won't have lots and lots of writing for people to read. It will be much more just ways to engage. That's what we're heading for, really.
Said that would be open for organisations to hold meetings.
Yep.
But you only open to 5. Does that mean evening meeting?
So if you hold an evening meeting, we'll just need to charge you for extra security. That's all, to get in and out of the building. So yeah.
This was a question actually that came from last time. How will this sustainability have coordinate or whatever with the other sustainability?
Like Future Leap, is that what you had in mind? Yeah. Oh, so they're really behind us. We've met with them, and we're planning to work together and promote each other's spaces as much as possible. They're much more business focused, even though obviously they do also have that public facing opportunity. But we definitely see each other as complementary, not at all kind of working against each other. Yes. That would be great. Yes. I mean, again, on the pack, if you want to go and have a look, there'll be the travel lead that you can get in touch with. That would be fantastic. Yes, I'm sure they'd love to hear from you. Thank you. Oh, somebody's just entered into the room. Thank you. Yes, that'd be amazing. Yeah, thank you. That's great. But yeah, definitely. I mean, it could be that it could be broken into different parts and run out of smaller spaces. Yeah.
Jenny, do you mind repeating the questions that are asked in the actual open space? Because we can't hear the question.
I'm so sorry. Can you just hold on? Somebody's talking into my ear, which is very confusing. I'm so sorry. People are asking me to repeat the question. I do apologise. There's people in the waiting room, which is really confusing as well. So I'll just let them in. It's all going on. Right. Yes. Okay. I'll definitely repeat the question. Thank you very much, Lorna. I'm so sorry about that. What was the last question I just answered about? So I was talking about other sustainability hubs in the city that we can engage with, like Future Leap. So that was the other question. And then the one after that was your one about wanting to offer active travel. There's quite a few local community groups that are involved in active travel and wanting to connect those with the travel people. So that's what that question is about. Sorry, over to you.
Just thinking, you learn useful to some other groups in other cities who have no idea what's that have any.
Absolutely, we do hope so. So the question was, the statement was, what you're doing in this space could be useful to other sustainability groups in other cities who could potentially use empty properties. And I have to hold up my hand and say we are very, very grateful to Zero in Guildford. I don't know if you've heard of them. They run a sustainability hub and they have shared a lot of their learnings with us. So it's exactly right. And then you pass the mantle on to somebody else. They amazingly have run their entire operation just on volunteers, which baffles me. I have no idea how they've managed to do that, but you know, hats off to them. And the great thing is they've also shared the things that didn't work and the problems that they had. So for example, in Broadmead, I'm sure you're aware there's quite a homelessness issue and there's some antisocial behaviour issues. We originally had the idea that we would love to be able to offer some kind of a warm space or something, as part of the offering, so that we could include the homeless community in what we were doing. Zero Guildford told us that's exactly what they did. They put in sofas and, sorry, Helen, could you possibly mute yourself? Oh, I can mute her, I think. Okay, I've muted her. Yeah, they put in sofas, they invited people to come in, and then they had so many problems. So, we've kind of learned that to say we can't be all things to all people. If people walk in the door, we're not going to turn them away, but we're not going to actively be saying, come on in, this is your warm space. So those kinds of learnings are really, really valuable. Sorry about that, that wasn't me. Blame him. I think Lorna was just asking me to unmute Tim, that's all. It wasn't a question. Yeah, just put a thumbs up now. Sorry, did you have a question on? In our charity, Global Goals Centre. So there's me as project lead, I'm full-time, and then we have Mark as development lead, he works 2 days a week. We have Manu as education lead, he's a day and a half a week. Manu Manganese, who's also part of Bristol Green Capital Partnership board. We have a young person who works with us, who came to us from Babasa, the youth empowerment organisation. She's our project assistant 1 day a week. We have an education associate professor in education from UE who is seconded to us 1 day a week. And then we have a digital and marketing person who does all our website, social media, etc. Alice, 2 days a week. That's us. So we're very small. Yeah, so a lot of what we do is workshops in the schools, but we, as I say, we did do the Voices exhibition in a shop in the galleries, which was great. That was a lot to pull together. So we started off at the M Shed and then we moved to the galleries, and we're going to Easton Community Centre actually in a couple of weeks' time as well. That's our final one for Voices. We've run Groundbreakers, which was a big competition for young people in the city. and that engaged universities, schools, brownie groups, guide groups, we had everybody in different projects for any of the global goals that they thought were the most important to them and for their community, and they ran little projects and then entered the competition. So we do all kinds of, it's kind of creative ways really to try and engage people with what the issues are, as well as delivering sports workshops. Yes, absolutely. So I don't know if anybody's got, I mean, you're a group, I don't know what you do as a group, you know, ideas of how is West Bristol Climate Action, have I got that right? How you might be able to engage with Spark. You might not obviously have answers now, it might be something to think about, but you know, we don't want to just go, oh yeah, there's this thing going on in Broadmead. It'd be really great to to think how you can connect.
Wildlife, wildlife areas.
Right.
And a couple in Clifton and doing a couple in down at the moment. So if anyone wanted to set up one in public open space,
Great.
that's our experience.
Okay.
And then the rest of it's been doing the talks.
Because one thing that we really want to try and do in store, but this would be something I think that happens slowly over the next few months, is trying to showcase local projects that are really working, because there's a lot of those in Bristol and we can all learn from each other. So if you've done some successful wildflower planting, you know, we could do a sort of how-to session potentially, or have a little display around that. So, you know, we'd really like to offer opportunities to groups to, you know, to share that expertise really. So yeah, we'll definitely bear that in mind. Thank you. That's great. Okay. Pleasure.
Sparks suspended, and I'm sure you'll be seeing all of us here through there.
Hope so.
Lots of fun people as well.
That's great. Please do spread the word. The project pack can go out to anybody that anybody you think might be interested in taking some space or being involved in some way. Please do share it. That would be brilliant. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Okay. So yeah, Bristol Climate Action, we're always open for volunteers, or if you want to become more active in climate action, and if you have your own ideas that you want to implement, or else join we have a small committee. If you'd like to become more active in that, we, you know, always looking for volunteers and people who can actually implement projects.
Thanks everyone online for tuning in.